Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful Tuesday it is today. Today's a big day. If any of you have been watching the last couple weeks, we have been focusing on breaking down each division in the NFL individually. And last week we did the AFC East. Before that, we did the NFC East. So this week, since I got to talk Bills all week last week, I figured it prudent to talk Packers all day today.
Yes.
So we are talking NFC North, and we will be breaking it down shortly. We will have Kevin Holden on as well to chat Packers football and NFC North and how much the Packers will destroy the rest of the division this year. And somebody raised a question saying that the Packers are the Patriots of the NFC, which I don't necessarily agree with, but we can maybe get Kevin's opinion on that too.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? That's a pretty bold statement.
It's bold. I guess they're the closest thing to it, but they're not the Patriots.
No, I don't think so. I'm Tanner Burke, of course. James Stewart here on the Pick Six, where we talk football, and I love talking football. It's tough in the morning sometimes, but this is early for me. Man. I mean, when you're working in sports, 90% of your hours come in the afternoon,
Right.
so coming in at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's a slow start for me.
It's definitely early, but I'm a new dad, so I'm up this
You're
early.
up this
anyway.
early anyways. Is that all I need? I just need to have a kid? I need to give birth?
I wouldn't
before
recommend
I
it just to wake up, but I mean, yeah.
just to wake up? Okay. So it's not a reliable reason.
You could set an alarm.
I could, or 12 if you're like me. Yeah. My God, unbelievable. Well, there's one thing that I really wanted to touch up on today. I thought it'd be fun to talk about. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit. The Madden curse. It's a real deal. It's been talked about.
And I'm sure you have your fingers crossed this year.
I do. And here's the deal. With the Madden curse, well, first of all, Madden is one of the most played sports games.
Yeah.
FIFA's right up there. Maybe we could do something. Maybe we could put on the poll. What's the most popular sports franchise game out there? I think it's like FIFA.
FIFA's got more
Madden.
of a worldwide reach.
That's the thing.
But
Here in America, I think Madden
Yeah.
is. I mean, there's legitimate, like, professional Madden players
Yes.
out there. It's like Call of Duty almost.
And you have to get it every year because
yeah.
I mean, even though it's just a roster change.
That's literally it. They add some new graphics
But
to
you
make it
gotta
look
get it.
flashy. They're like, oh, we have a new dynamic play mode. More control over your defenders. I'm like, I already got like hot routes and
Right,
audibles I got to take
exactly.
care of. I can't, like, don't give me more control. I don't want that.
Do you remember
Put
when
me
they
on
had
autopilot.
the quarterback vision where you
You actually have to look around. I'm like, what is this crap? Like, I'm throwing blind to the left side of the field.
Yeah.
I got Peyton Manning looking long on the right. Like, what is this? It's awful. I have to turn my quarterback's head where I'm throwing the ball. It's just stupid. Anyways, yes, so the Madden curse, everybody's familiar with it. This year, I have my fingers crossed as Tom Brady, and I don't know if it was a photoshopped edition of the cover.
Yeah.
But what I saw was Madden, is it 18 now? Madden 18 GOAT edition.
Yeah.
Dude, give me a break. This guy's still in the league. Madden can't come out and say that. They can't put that on their cover. Come
Madden
on.
can do whatever they want, apparently.
Oh, my. They're going to, I mean.
But here's the thing. Has the curse already started with all this concussion talk?
Maybe. Is
Giselle the curse? Like, is she telling everybody about all these concussions?
I love how. So Brady says he could play for another 5 to 7 years, but Giselle basically said, "No, we have a family." I love knowing that one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not the greatest quarterback of all time, doesn't even wear the pants in his own relationship. His wife makes 3 times the amount that he makes. I hope so.
Is she looking out for you guys?
I hope so. You know who I found out was a Bills fan yesterday?
Who's that?
We were watching Zach Anner videos on YouTube. Zach Anner is he's a comedian, and he was asked a question if something about disappointment, and he goes, "Oh no, I'm used to disappointment. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan." I died laughing. It was so funny.
Is that one of those laughs that kind of hurts though too?
It does. Well, you become family when you have that realization. So not necessarily the worst thing. Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think about the Madden curse? Is that something that you believe in personally, or?
I mean, history says it's real. I mean,
I mean,
you got a lot of guys going down or becoming irrelevant
Yes.
afterwards. I mean,
well, let's talk about some of the Madden. I mean, I guess we can hit up on all of them if they're right here, but.
Gronk.
So we'll start.
Gronk was last
year. He injured. He didn't even get to play in the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, Gronk is a perfect example. Going back to 1999, Garrison Hurst. 2000 was Barry Sanders and Dorsey Levens. Eddie George in 2001. Dante Culpepper in 2002. Marshall Faulk. Michael Vick. Ray Lewis. Donovan McNabb. Sean Alexander. Vince Young. Brett Favre. Troy Polamalu and Larry Fitzgerald in 2010, Drew Brees 2011, and my most recognizable one that we talked about before the show today was Peyton Hillis in 2012.
Yeah.
Peyton Hillis had a breakout year. I drafted him in fantasy. Maybe it's my fantasy football curse. Maybe that's what it is, because I did the same thing with Adrian
Are you just
Peterson.
drafting Madden cover
Apparently.
players?
I need to stop. But yeah, Peyton Hillis, 2012, had a breakout year with the Browns, and I mean, I don't know if it's the Browns curse or the Madden curse, but he just kind of fizzed away after that.
Yes, and that was the year they had the competition, right, where the fans picked?
Yes, it was actually. Good point. I have it right here. There's probably
Looks like he was chosen over Ray Rice, Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, and Aaron Rodgers.
Lucky for you, Aaron
Yes,
Rodgers did not get chosen.
I was okay with that.
That was the year after you guys made won the Super Bowl, wasn't it 2011?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, it was 2011, right? You guys. I love how I refer to any person's fanhood as, like, you. It's you. You control the team. I refer to the Bills as
I am a team
my
owner.
team. You're the team owner?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, in your fantasy league or what?
no, I got some stock.
Got some stock. Oh, my God.
What are your policies about signing defensive free agents?
My,
I had to leave it up to the coaches.
we're on to Cincinnati.
I don't have that much stock.
We're on to Cincinnati. Unbelievable. Let's see. Yeah, so Adrian Peterson was 2014. 2013 is not on here. I don't know what happened. Did the season just not happen?
No, that was Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson.
Yep.
That's right. Okay. Adrian Peterson, 2014. Richard Sherman, 2015. And 2017, Rob Gronkowski. 2016, wasn't that Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yes, it was.
He had an okay year.
He did.
Didn't seem like it affected him at all.
No, I think he was one of the ones that got lucky.
He got lucky?
Again, it seems like there's enough of them that didn't get lucky that I just don't want any of my guys on it.
Well, I mean, Rodgers will end up making it back on there again, I'm sure.
Yeah, when he's retired and
Maybe Jordy. I'd like to see Jordy on there.
They'll remake the GOAT edition.
Yes. All right. Well, good. Oh God, GOAT of the NFC. Good morning, everybody. Zach says he did nothing after that. Got traded, I believe, or released a year later. I'm assuming he's talking about Peyton Hillis. Pat says no, it was definitely a Cleveland skid mark curse. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, that didn't help either. The fact that he was on Cleveland.
Josh brings up a good point. He says, lifetime, FIFA has outsold Madden in the lifetime of the games. Both have sold over 100 million copies. Now, here's the deal, though. Like you said, James, FIFA has a worldwide audience to play to. There are people buying it. I mean, the first thing it asks you when you log into the game is, what language do you speak? And they have like 12 or 13 different languages you can choose from, which is amazing to me. But Madden's football. Football Americano is an American sport.
I mean, yeah, NFL's king here.
Yes, so rightfully so. But yes, so Tom Brady is on the Madden cover this year on the Madden 18 GOAT edition. Barf threw up in my mouth. So every Bills fan around the world.
Buy that?
I have to.
Right?
Every year.
Every time you open
I won't buy
case.
the physical copy.
Okay.
I'll download it so I don't. Oh my God! But
you'll still have to look at the thumbnail.
He's gonna be. There's gonna be some cheap animation in the beginning with him and like something. There's probably a goat running across the screen. Cubs fans crying in the background. I don't know. So yeah, I'll end up getting it. But every Bills fan around the world is holding their breath and crossing their fingers, just waiting and praying that this might be the sign. So maybe this is a thing. Maybe I shouldn't draft Brady this year. You know, I'm as a diehard Bills fan, I always draft Brady in my Bills league.
Really?
Well, because he falls.
See,
there aren't Bills,
that makes sense.
Like anybody who drafts the first Patriot
right.
in my Buffalo league, they get a lot of crap. So it's usually like Gronkowski goes like the top 10, and everyone's like, "Oh, come on, Steve.
See,
what are you doing?
I always
You're a traitor."
I refuse to draft like Bears. I refuse to draft.
Well, who would you draft anyway?
That's true. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey was okay. I mean, you're right. You wouldn't draft anyone. But I don't like drafting Cowboys.
Trubisky. I'm taking him. Throwing balls through tires and stuff like quarterbacks do. Isn't that like normal? Baxter wanted us to talk about this video of Mitch Trubisky throwing a football through a tire like 20 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Isn't that a normal thing for quarterbacks to do when they're training, is to throw footballs through tires? Like when
you would think that they could hit a moving target, but I mean, it still looks cool.
When you watch like Smallville,
right,
and you got like Clark Kent throwing footballs like 150 yards away, throwing them through tires in his backyard, like hanging from a tree, like. That's what I think of when I think of young quarterbacks.
You are quoting,
or
you are referencing Smallville.
I love Smallville. I used to watch that religiously. It was amazing. So, all right. So, Tom Brady, Madden curse, yes or no? The concussions are already out.
Here's your Trubisky right
There's
here.
the Trubisky. Okay.
I mean, look at
that slow-mo. First of all, that ball is wobbling like crazy. That is not a tight spiral
makes it to
on
the
that
target.
bad boy.
That's all that matters.
Does it?
Yeah, it goes through.
Oh, my God. Listen, we don't know how many times he tried that. Also, I want to see him do it 3 times in a row.
I'm just going to assume he tried it once.
As a Packer fan?
Yeah, why not?
Really want to? Okay, we'll give him credit.
He doesn't have anyone to throw to anyway, so I'm not really worried about it.
Does he start the season? I guess
no.
We're going to break down the NFC North, but does he start?
No.
No?
Mike Glennon.
Okay. If you say so.
I
believe
so.
you. I believe you. All right, let's get Kevin Holden on the line here. We're going to break down the NFC North, and I felt it prudent to break down the Green Bay Packers first.
Yep.
And Kevin Holden, of course, another well-respected Packer fan. I think it's safe to say, right, Kevin? A Packer fan, are you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you spend as much time around the franchise, covering stuff that the franchise does. You want to see them do well. It's good. It's good for your life and good for your profession if they.
It's good for your life. That's one way to put it, I think. Yeah, I guess that would make my Bills fanhood bad for my just overall well-being.
Well, and here's the other half of it. The reason why it's good for my life is my wife is an enormous Packers fan, and you have never seen a cleaner apartment than if there's a close Packers game. If there's a game that's down to the last drive, I come home and this thing is like a commercial. It's like everywhere is like ding. It's amazing.
Well, I love it. I mean, we have some stats here for the Packers. We'll break right into it. First of all, I guess I'll ask the question: what's your opinion on the Packers moving into their season this year? How do you feel about some of their off-season moves? And is Ted Thompson as much of a slouch as everybody is telling me he is?
I don't know about slouch, man, especially after this draft that he just had. I mean, I know that Thompson always has his detractors, but I got to tell you, I think the Packers had one of the better drafts of any team in terms of the 2 things they want to do the most, which is they want value out of their picks. That's a Ted Thompson thing. Sometimes he's trading back and getting more picks just for value purposes. And the other half is addressing needs. I mean, Thompson got a stable of running backs to back up Ty Montgomery. He got guys in the secondary and Kevin King and Josh Jones who will be immediate players, impact kind of players. They have revamped, especially on defense, what they'll do in that secondary in this coming year. And then they went out and signed Martellus Bennett. Now, there are losses for this team as well. TJ Lang is gone and JC Treader is gone. So you guys talked about Rodgers. I mean, that's still the number one concern of the franchise, how you deal with Rodgers, how you keep him upright and give him time to throw the ball. That will be the concern, is getting those 5 guys together. But coming into the season, what Thompson did through the draft and what he did with the addition of Martellus Bennett, what they can now do with the passing game with the tight ends, I would say it's a team that's better than they were last year and that easily could go as far as they did last year.
I think that's a safe assumption, James.
Do you think Martellus Bennett is basically the Jared Cook experiment kind of worked, but it didn't work long enough or well enough, and Martellus Bennett is kind of the answer to that?
Yeah, I think Martellus Bennett was was finally the guy that they were looking for in that position. Jared Cook, I thought, especially late in the year,
right,
was tremendous. Oh my goodness, that catch in Dallas to set up the game winner. It popularized the phrase "he went to Jared." Guys are saying he went to Jared. What's that tell you? It's not a slogan for dudes usually, but
No.
but it was after that game, and Jared Cook was a tremendous addition. But I think seeing Cook what he did over the course of that year showed the Packers that there's your missing piece. We talk about, how much do the Packers have to run the ball to be successful? How do they have to spread the ball around? I mean, Rodgers is, a generational talent. He's a guy that is going to succeed in most situations. But they've cratered the Packers have in the middle of seasons the last few years. And if you give him a tight end and some consistency when the other parts are breaking down, maybe that little crater doesn't happen. Maybe he doesn't have to say run the table if they're 10-2 after 12 games. They could, I think, be better across the board in the sense that, a good tight end gives them consistency game to game. And so they won't have to worry about going down and back up. It should be more steady.
Well, I think when you're looking at the Packers as a whole, you're looking directly at Aaron Rodgers, and he's the guy that, let's address the question right now that was brought up earlier in the show. Is Aaron Rodgers the Tom Brady of the NFC, and are the Packers the Patriots of the NFC? Because that's a bold statement to make when you're talking about one of the greatest teams, greatest dynasties in football history. I don't think it's even close. The Packers have won Super Bowl in the last, 10 years or whatever it is.
In respects to the quarterbacks, I think you have a closer comparison with the quarterbacks. I think Aaron Rodgers is fully capable of doing everything that Tom Brady is capable of. Where the distance comes is the team itself and how the team is run. I think
the ownership, the coaching.
Right, and I think, the main thing that a lot of people have had an issue with Ted Thompson is that we trend so young and use so – there I go with we again. The Packers trend so young and go with kind of unproven commodities in a lot of positions, which is what they're going to end up doing again this year with, the loss of Micah Hyde, who I'm assuming Josh Jones is going to try to fill that role. You bring in Devon House. You bring in Kevin King. There's going to be a lot of unproven players on the field.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to. I think the biggest thing is their defense. I think I'd like to hear Kevin's opinion on this. But where was the weakest point, the weakest link in this Packers team moving into the offseason, and did they address it enough? I know from what I've heard, Ted Thompson isn't as aggressive as he needs to be in most years. But did they address their weakest link to the point where you can confidently say they are Super Bowl ready again?
The weakest link for me is that secondary, and it was the fact that last year, if you break down the worst games played by the Packers, it had to do with when they faced effective, accurate quarterbacks, when they faced Kirk Cousins, when they faced Marcus Mariota. Those are the games, Matt Ryan, where they struggled the most, where they gave up the most points. That secondary, by the end of the year, that combination of injuries and ineffectiveness, they were decimated. So they went out and addressed those with the first 2 draft picks that they made. There's a lot of experts raving about what Kevin King will bring to the table, versatility for Josh Jones. The Packers believe that Kevin King can start for them in week 1, that he will be one of the starting 11 in the first week of the season. And it makes everything better down the line. If Kevin King is a starter, it pushes these other guys, Rollins and Randall, down a spot in the order, and you're going to be more effective if you're covering a team's number 3 receiver versus a number 2 receiver. It just makes everybody else a little better. So I think they've addressed it well. It's going to depend a little bit on if King and Jones and some of these other guys in the secondary can step up right away. That's what they were hoping for from Rollins and Randall when they drafted them in the secondary a couple years ago. It happened initially, but has not happened for both of them as well as the Packers would have wanted over time. So that secondary is still that's where you have to look, is the ability to stop a Kirk Cousins, or at least contain a Kirk Cousins type of quarterback, because as you go in the playoffs, that's what you're going to see more and more. As you go closer to the Super Bowl, you face the Matt Ryans of the world. You got to have some kind of game plan for them, and the Packers hope they've done that in the secondary. I think they have. I definitely think the secondary improves this year.
We've talked about how well the draft went for the Packers. Kevin, I'll ask you, with a lot of Ted Thompson drafts, I feel like there are a lot of times as a guy where you're scratching your head, what's he doing here? But is this kind of one of the first times in a long time at least, that we can say the Packers and Ted Thompson are going for it? Like, this draft was all immediate answers to questions.
Even an off-season transaction.
Right.
Bringing in Martellus Bennett was a big deal for a guy like Ted Thompson,
right.
I think.
Yeah, it was big. Now remember this, there were losses too, and that's something that the fan base in Green Bay is a little concerned about, because T.J. Lang left and J.C. Tretter left and Eddie Lacy left. And, of course, the Jared Cook angst was about 3 hours long. Jared Cook left and everyone was, just freaking out as tends to happen in the offseason. And then Martellus Bennett was signed, and everybody's like, Jared who? Jared somebody. But, there are still some holes on this team that will have to get filled. The offensive line, for me, being the number one spot. The other one, at running back, Ty Montgomery's had, 6 games worth of experience at the position, and he's the veteran in the room. He's the one
insane.
Talking to the young kids. So, Ty's got to step up, and I think someone else does too. So Jamal Williams is a guy to look at, their 4th-round pick, as a guy who might step up. But the Packers are probably going to depend on someone very inexperienced to lead their running game, maybe 2 or 3 people.
Now, here's my opinion. So, real quick, the 2 guys you're watching on the Packers team as a whole are the 2 most important players, of course, would be Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. Rodgers, 40 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and this was a year where he was scrutinized for being, too involved with Olivia Munn or something like that. People blaming Aaron Rodgers' pitfalls on Olivia Munn, and he still had a phenomenal season. Of course, Jordy Nelson, 14 touchdowns, 13 yards per reception with 97 receptions. So these 2 guys are certainly playmakers, but you brought up Ty Montgomery, and I want to talk about that for a second, because this is a guy who is a converted wide receiver to running back, because he is kind of a bigger guy and he can kind of play both positions. But the entire year, I don't think anybody was really convinced that he could be, if you got somebody who's going to be your lead running back, you're not also having him play receiver. I mean, you can have your running back go out and catch passes, but you don't want somebody who's playing both positions. You want somebody who is a master of one, not a jack of all. And what blows my mind is there are so many opportunities this offseason to get a running back who could maybe not lead the running back team here, but could at least supplement Ty Montgomery in Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles. Marshawn Lynch obviously wouldn't have come to Green Bay, nor would Baxter have wanted Marshawn Lynch to play for Green Bay. But there were a lot of guys that they could have gone out and picked up, but they chose to address it in the mid rounds of the draft. So is this something that you think has been addressed? I know you talked about it a little bit, but is this an issue at all for Packer fans and for the Packers organization?
It can be. It definitely can be, because if you take those top end guys away, LeGarrette Blount would have been a pretty good addition. He would have been, I think, the right complement for Ty Montgomery, and a guy that I think would have come fairly cheaply. Running backs aren't making a ton of money in the league these days, and even on that scale, I think he would have been very reasonable. So I think some of your fans would have appreciated seeing Blount with Montgomery. That would have been your nice thunder and lightning punch in the backfield. That didn't happen, and that's been the Packers' way in a lot of positions. They address their needs through the draft, and it's a draft and develop thing. Sometimes there's a gap that develops there where you draft, for example, Jamal Williams. Let's say Jamal Williams is a talented player, but this first year is about figuring out the league. It's figuring out the schedule and the rigors of the 16 games and everything that's involved in NFL life. What if Jamal Williams doesn't break out until the 2nd year or the 3rd year? What if he's just a marginal contributor this year? That means that right now on the roster, Ty Montgomery is there, and you've got to find someone else to go with him. So it's addressed in the sense that the Packers drafted several running backs, and they feel that they've got some possible complements to Montgomery, but it may not be addressed today. And that goes back to your question about Packers versus Patriots and where the difference is. Organizationally, the Patriots handle it differently. They draft well, but they use all avenues. They're going to trade for Brandon Cooks. Go ahead and make it happen. And that is where they have built themselves back year after year to the level where they've been. It's been that little tiny difference between where the Packers have been losing in the NFC title game a few of these years and where the Patriots have been trailing by, 60 points in the Super Bowl and coming back and winning.
Baxter asks a question here. He says he wanted to ask about the possibility of Green Bay trading for Mark Ingram, similar to how Philly was looking to do. Is Mark Ingram, I feel like, would be a great fit for the Packers. I really do. I think he's not in his prime, but he's a guy that you can count on and rely on, and at least maybe even give some. This is why I think the Packers missed out on some of these running backs in the offseason was. You're going to need somebody now. They drafted a young running back. You're going to need somebody to lead these young running backs, these rookies, into the Packers organization. And, you got some of the greatest running backs in the game who are available very cheap, like you said, Kevin. This is a position that is probably at the lowest value point of the history of the NFL. And the Packers, I think, missed out on a great opportunity just to have somebody in the locker room. They don't even have to play. I wouldn't even play Jamal Charles. Just put him in there. Ty Montgomery is not teaching any rookie quarterback how to run the ball.
It seems to me, though, that they want versatility at the position. That's why an Adrian Peterson doesn't fit, because he can't catch. It seems like they're going to center this offense like they have in past years around the pass. So they need a guy who can run, but ultimately needs to be able to pass block and catch the ball.
That's what I was going to say. If you're focusing on the offensive line as one of your biggest weaknesses and most important pieces of your offense, then why wouldn't you go out and find a big running back that could help you block and keep Aaron Rodgers safe back there? But I don't know. Kevin, I do have one question before we let you go. Who is the biggest competitor for you guys in the division? I think it's safe to say we haven't broken down the rest of the division yet, but I think it's safe to say that James and myself would agree the Packers are ultimately going to come out on top. But who is the biggest competitor here this season? There's some questions in Minnesota, Chicago now too, but who are you most worried about or looking forward to matching up against?
I still think Minnesota is probably that team. There's some people that would tell you that Detroit, because they got TJ Lang from the Packers, because they are so much better up front, are going to be a tough matchup. But the Lions didn't really address their running back need in the draft, which was a bit of a surprise. Vikings, on the other hand, lose Adrian Peterson, get Latavius Murray, draft Dalvin Cook. Now you've got these two guys who instantly become threats. And before week one, you're thinking about, okay, how are we going to face these two running backs? How are we going to prepare to go against these two running backs? Minnesota's been doing it with the run game and defense for years. Sam Bradford, I see being a capable game manager, and I see Minnesota being a pretty successful team. It's a team that's given the Packers fits at times over the last several years. So if there's anyone that's going to threaten, it's the Vikings. But I'm with you guys. At the end of the day, I think this is a multiple game separation between the Packers and the rest of the division. They're just better all the way around and better prepared for a good late run late in the season.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. It's got to be the Vikings.
I love how we haven't even talked about the rest of the division yet, and we're all just like, yep.
Packers I'm not complaining.
What's done is done.
The Lions are intriguing, and they always kind of offensively are, but they're the Lions until they prove otherwise. You don't. They always seem to make the mistake in the end or miss the playoffs by that much or completely.
I feel like the Lions. Now that Kelvin Johnson is gone, I feel like the Lions. When they had Kelvin Johnson, I thought they were so close to being a great team, and now that he's gone, and you're bringing in who.
Their receiving core is not awful. Golden Tate and Marvin Jones Jr. are not bad.
Yeah,
but they're not.
They've been so close in recent years, and they're much like the Bears. They've just been so close to disappoint. I do want to ask one quick question though, Kevin, before we let you go in regards to the Minnesota Vikings. Does Teddy Bridgewater ever play football again? Because I had an argument with people on the air about this before.
Yeah, I don't know if he does. I think he makes every effort to do it. I think he wants to try to come back, but you get a pretty good sense if your quarterback gets hurt, the guy you put your franchise's future in gets hurt, and instantly you make a major trade for a quarterback who can lead your team for multiple years to come. The Vikings hedged their bets the moment that injury happened. That's how gruesome the injury was for Bridgewater. I think maybe there's an attempt there, but I wouldn't count on him, definitely not being who they thought he was going to be. And I don't know if he's ever really effective in any form again in the NFL.
Well, it's tough. So if you had to give us your final division standings at the end of the season, I know it's too early to tell, but James and I do this at the end of the show, so we thought we'd grab them from you while we still have you here. What would the final lineup be for the end of the regular season here for the NFC North?
Let's put it 12-4 on the Packers. I got a lot of optimism about what that team has done and what they can do this year. Let's put it 12-4 on them. And the Vikings could be a 10-6 and a wild card. I think that could happen. I think the Lions are the Lions, as you said. So they okay, maybe they 9-7 or 8-8, and then way back there down the road that I don't know, 4-12, 5-11. Mitchell Trubisky is just going to get booed all year in Chicago, and I hope that kid's mentally tough because he's going to be the guy attached to a trade that the fan base immediately hated and still does, and it's going to be a long year for them. Probably, I'll say 5-11 for Chicago.
All right. That's good to know. Well, Kevin, we appreciate your input, of course, as always, and it was fitting to have you on today as we're talking and breaking down the NFC North. I'm sure as we move into the season, we'll have you on to chat some Packers football. Any chance we get to talk Packers or Bills on this show, the most random combination of football teams in the NFL,
we take advantage of it.
So, Kevin, first of all, thank you for coming on, and second of all, where can people find you on social media if they wanted to reach out to you or check out some of your work?
Thank you very much for having me on, guys. Twitter, it's at 321QKevin, 321CUE Kevin. I think I'm on Snapchat now. I think my friends added it. So I have to go find out what my name is there. I want to say it's like Kurt Bavakwa, who's a very obscure baseball name from the 80s. But yeah, I'd stick with the Twitter for now, and I'll get the rest of them.
Yeah? Deal, no problem. Well, thank you, Kevin. It's always a pleasure, Kevin. My friend, and I'm sure we'll get together soon and talk some more football with you.
Thank you, guys. Always happy to.
Awesome. Wonderful. That was Kevin Holden coming on to chat NFC North and some Packers football. It's just fun around Bruce Sports this time of year when we're talking about
a lot of hope.
Our own teams, our teams.
There's a lot of hope right now.
There's a lot of hope. It's just good just to give you hope.
Wow.
Yes. Well, real quick, let's check the Facebook comments before we break down the rest of the NFC North. Anthony, good morning to you, my friend, as well. I feel like I missed a comment from Patrick here today. You're just mad that you couldn't get points for both his wide receiver and running back plays in fantasy. Patrick, you're wrong because you could get points for both his running back and wide receiver plays in fantasy, at least in the league that I was in. And
Yahoo had him listed
Trevor
as
actually had he picked up Ty Montgomery. I had like every single running back from for people who have watched the earlier shows in this series. I had some unfortunate events happen in my running back core last season. I had Adrian Peterson and I can't remember.
That good, huh?
Well, I mean, Danny Woodhead and Adrian Peterson. Both of them went out on IR in the same weekend. So I was like,
you were on the scrappy.
God.
Where's Theo Riddick?
So the
Chris Thompson?
the entire season, I was chasing running backs, and I think I had at one point or another every single running back from Green Bay and every single running back from Washington and every single running back from Tampa Bay on my roster. None of which panned out for me. And, of course, I had an opportunity once Jeremy Langford went down to pick up
Jordan Howard.
Yeah. And I also had an opportunity to pick up – well, I had J.J.I. on my team, and then I released him before he rushed for 250 yards or whatever it was twice against the Bills. So I could have won the whole league, man. I had a great team, man.
Is it hard for you to start guys against your team?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said before, I'm synonymous for drafting Tom Brady in the middle rounds because I know he's going to fall, especially every year. I mean, this past year was great because I knew I was going to get him because he wasn't playing the first 4 games. He was old, and I'm playing with a bunch of Bills fans who don't want him on their team. So I'm like, I know he's going to do well. I've accepted it. I know he's going to kick our butts. I know he's going to play well. He's going to have another record year.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I draft him?
Because pride.
Pride is drafting Tyrod Taylor, LaShawn McCoy, and Sammy Watkins and just being happy with being at the bottom of your fantasy league. That's pride.
But imagine,
I want the championship, baby.
Imagine if you do that and
I want
they win
the
the
Shiva.
Super Bowl.
Imagine, well, I mean, someday I will draft Bills players happily. I've done it before, though. I would happily draft LaShawn McCoy. I would happily draft Sammy Watkins, but the price has to be right.
Are you going to draft Gillislee?
No. Screw Mike Gillislee. Have fun in New England, Mike. Have fun in New England, Stefan. I met with, so I worked happy hour at the bar yesterday, and one of my friends from Boston was in town this weekend. And I love my friends from Boston because I give them so much crap.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not the only person that does it, but they give it back. And it's always in good fun. It's always in good fun. And I had a revelation this weekend when the first thing that he had ever posted on Facebook about sports, I actually agreed with him on. And it was Boston Celtics beating LeBron James and the Cavs. And I was like, looked at it, I was like ready to write some smite comment, and I was like, oh, good for you, man. Good for you. Down with LeBron. I can get behind that. I can get behind that. It was great. It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, I respect my Boston fans. I pity them at times because they don't know what it's like, man. They don't know what it's like to not win a championship ever. I feel bad for them.
You feel bad for them.
I feel bad for them. I actually did. Man, my allergies are killing me right now. My eyes are watering. My nose is tick.
He's crying. He's getting sad and emotional.
I'm crying right now. I have a tear in my eye. This is hilarious. But yeah, actually, one of my best friends is from Boston. College buddies. He lived next door to me, and we always watched the Patriots Bills games together. We always watched the Sabres Bruins games together, and I'm crying right now.
How does that end for you?
Well, I'm a good sport.
When you started with that, I'm a good sport.
Here's the deal, though. He gets very angry when something doesn't go his way, even if he's up by 21.
It's because they're spoiled.
Oh, thank you, Baxter.
Right into the mic. Thank you.
Producer Baxter just gave me a handkerchief. Just pulling my nose. Crying right now. But yeah, so we'd watch all the games together, and he'd get very angry. And where was I going with this? No idea.
You were explaining how you feel bad for them for winning.
Oh,
so
right.
much.
Yeah. So I told him straightforward. I said, and the numbers keep going up. But I said, my first Super Bowl or Stanley Cup win will feel better than all of your championships combined. Think about that for a second. When you have the Boston Celtics, the Boston Bruins, the Boston Red Sox, and the New England Patriots winning, let's see, the Patriots have 5 Super Bowls, the Red Sox have 2 World Series, the Celtics have 1 or 2, maybe 1, I think 1, and the Bruins have 2.
In your lifetime?
All in the last 15 years. All in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Then there's probably some soccer league in there or something too, where they won 8 championships.
No, they haven't.
No?
I'm a Revolution fan. We're awful. We've been to the finals 4 times and lost every single one.
That's why there's the jersey. Okay, I get that. Yeah. But I mean, when you have, so Boston fans, for example, when the Bruins didn't make the playoffs,
right?
They're looking at the Boston Celtics and they're like, "Oh, we'll just move over here.
Yeah,
we'll
be fine. Yeah,
we'll just move over here now. We have a different team that's also making a name for itself. It's not exciting to me.
So you're saying that, like Cleveland, when
too much success is a bad thing.
When Cleveland won their championship, you're saying that they were happier than when Bulls fans won 6.
Oh, man.
Are you honestly saying if Buffalo would flip places with the Patriots that you'd be like, no, too much success?
This sucks.
I'm just
I hate the Bills
simply
right now
stating,
because we are too successful.
I'm just simply stating that 50 to a billion years of disappointment, letdown, and public humiliation. One championship. That one championship will feel so much better than 40 championships in Boston together, combined.
I'm going to have to disagree.
Forget it. It's not fair. You guys are biased. I'm on the other side of the table here for a reason. You've had Brett Favre, and now you have Aaron Rodgers, 2 Hall of Famers.
I mean, it's only 2 Super Bowls, though.
Oh, yeah, it's true. That's true. How good did those Super Bowls feel, though?
pretty good, but I bet 5 or 6 would have felt even better.
Oh my God. Get out of here! I'm done with it. Let's move into the rest of the NFC North. We got to cover this division before we get out of here. Let's talk about. God, do you have something you want to talk about? Do you want to lead this? Because I'm crying right now still. My allergies are just killing me.
Well, why don't we go opposite side of the spectrum and hit the Bears?
All right. That's good because I have them up on my screen right now.
That's probably why you're crying.
I guess. I just want 13 championships. That's all I ask for. I don't even need them all at once. I can take them over the span of 10 years, spread it out. 13 championships.
All right. As far as the Bears, obviously lose Alshon Jeffrey, lose Jay Cutler, or release Jay Cutler.
Is that a loss, though?
I feel like it is in respect to what you have coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike Glennon and Trubisky, a rookie who obviously, like Kevin said, is probably going to get booed by everyone.
I found that surprising. You really think people – I mean, you got to respect the fact that they still drafted a guy. Is it the guy's fault or is it the owner? I mean,
Donovan McNabb got booed pretty good when he got drafted.
That's brutal. That is so. Do you think Mitch Trubisky is going to get booed in Chicago? Should we already assume he's going to leave after his rookie contract is up?
No, if he's
good,
he'll be fine.
Was he going to die?
If Mitch Trubisky plays the same,
is he gonna make it that far? The OTAs are tough this time of year.
Chicago, man, I don't know. No, I mean, but think about it. If Mitch Trubisky plays like even generally as well as Donovan McNabb did for his career, I feel like you got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean,
go to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Deal with an outspoken wide receiver in T.O.
Yes.
By the way, Buffalo did win a championship this year.
Lacrosse?
No, the NWHL, Women's Pro Hockey League, the Buffalo Beauts.
Oh yeah, the Beauts.
2017 Isobel Cup champions.
You got one.
2008, we won the National Lacrosse League championship. I know what a championship feels like, but that's not it.
Can I get you? You want a commemorative phone case?
No, oh my God.
For the
I'll get a banner and hang it up.
Champions. It's cute.
Oh my God.
Go Beauts.
Go Beauts. Buffalo Beauts. They're just a bunch of Beauts.
They are one of 4 women's pro teams. You'd like to think they were in the top 4 all season. Hashtag Buffalo.
Luke, good morning. Jeff, good morning. Patrick, Trevor's watching now. Corey, hello, good morning. Anthony, everybody, Zach. Trevor just got a new job, so congratulate him on the air. Enough! All right, back to the NFC North.
People are voting on Twitter, by the way. Remind people to go at Bruce Sportsnet on Twitter.
At Bruce Sportsnet.
Somebody voted for the Bears to win the division this year.
What's our Twitter poll,
Guillermo? You've got 2 today. What's your favorite sports video game? Madden, FIFA, NBA 2K, whatever, and MLB The Show, whatever. FIFA leads currently at 100%. And then the other one, Packers and Bears are tied for the first time probably ever.
Say FIFA leads 100%?
Correct.
How many people voted? You?
No, it's been more than one person that's voted from multiple accounts.
How many?
And the Packers and the Bears are tied right now at 50% each.
Unbelievable! This is ridiculous.
At Bruce Sportsnet, go vote.
Okay. All right. So there's that.
FIFA's a good game, though.
I love
FIFA's
FIFA.
a great game.
FIFA, yeah.
I'd play NHL or Madden before FIFA any day of the week.
I mean, yeah, I would.
Is that because Chelsea got rid of Drogba like 5 years ago? Maybe. So as I was cleaning up my apartment back, so you'd appreciate this. I found all of my jerseys, which includes 2 Sabres jerseys, 1 Ryan Miller USA jersey, Celtic FC jersey.
Bring it in.
No name on it because I didn't actually know anybody. And then
anybody know anybody from Celtic?
I have not anymore. I used to be a big fan. I have 3 Drogba jerseys. One is an Ivory Coast one from FIFA World Cup 2010, which is a freaking amazing. My favorite jersey. And then I have my Fernando Torres jersey, which is the worst purchase I ever made in my life.
I love Fernando Torres.
He was the biggest disappointment. He's a freaking crybaby. And what's worse is I got it the year after they won the Premier League, so they had the gold patches on there, and I'm like, God, I should have got another Drogba jersey.
I had the exact same jersey.
I can never be upset with a Drogba jersey, but I got a Fernando Torres jersey because I was like, yep.
You should buy a Phoenix Rising jersey. That's where he plays now in the USL.
Fernando Torres does?
No, Drogba.
Yeah. Well, he was with Montreal. He's a co-owner of the team.
Yep, the USL team. And go figure, as soon as he got signed on the team, the coach stopped coaching.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I mean, if you're owner player, I mean, why not?
Yeah. Is that a thing? I mean,
owner, player, coach.
It was a thing in hockey like 50 years ago. I didn't know it was still a thing in any sport nowadays.
Oh yeah.
All right. I do love Drogba. He's one of the greats of all time. Let's move back into the NFC North. Why do we keep getting off track? Why do you guys let me do this? Why do I even run this show? This is unbelievable. Is it that big of a loss that the Bears lost Jay Cutler? I don't think so. I mean, Mike Glennon is basically, you're going to get the same thing. I'm not expecting a lot out of Mike Glennon.
He's got no starts in the last 2 years.
And Mitch Trubisky coming in. I mean, there's going to be competition there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mitch Trubisky ends up starting. Jordan Howard, is he a franchise running back?
I don't know about franchise, but he's a serviceable running back.
Okay.
I would start Jordan Howard over Ty Montgomery on the Packers.
I probably would.
100%. Absolutely, I would.
Jordan Howard's a top 7 running back. Top
in the league?
Think?
I think
in the league?
Considering who a lot of the starters are nowadays, yeah.
It's true. The league's pretty thin right now at running back. Would you put him ahead of Marshawn Lynch?
Top 7? Well, he's probably not going to have to split carries with that
Put you over Marshawn Lynch.
No. All right, we have 10 minutes. Let's move into our next one here. Do you want to hit Minnesota or Detroit first?
Detroit.
You probably could hit Minnesota, but you'd put it wide left.
Brutal. Detroit it is. Let's look at their offense here. Matt Stafford, one of the most underwhelming yet surprising quarterbacks.
He's a
in
fantasy
the last 15
quarterback.
Years. He is. And
it's the numbers. That's it.
I feel like he's a head case, though. He really gets inside his own head, and he either plays well or he doesn't.
Right.
He's
got a big arm. It's just the big game seems to be an issue.
And you're looking at, your wide receiver core. Man, just imagine if they still had Calvin Johnson, though. I mean, he still had a couple good years left in him too. But
guys, it's the same with Barry Sanders. You get sick of losing on that team.
On the lines, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones Jr., and then the tight end option, Eric Ebron, exercising his 5th-year option. A smart move because he is a great tight end. Not a top-tier fantasy tight end, but when he was coming out of the draft, everyone raving
comparing
about him to
size,
the next
speed.
Gronkowski, which is just, come on. You can't compare anybody to Gronkowski. Nobody's Gronkowski. Gronkowski can't even be Gronkowski at times. It's amazing.
Well, they add T.J. Lang to the line, so that should help a little bit with Stafford. The question is, what are they going to do at running back?
That is a good question.
Amir Abdullah, who's constantly hurt. Theo Riddick.
You'd like to think, and the Lions came out and said that they think that Amir Abdullah could be their franchise running back, and you'd like to think that he could be that.
Right.
But like you said, getting injured.
Is this another? Who was it? Javid Best? Another situation where.
No idea.
Kevin Jones is another one, too.
Yeah, these young guys who have this promise can't stay healthy.
You got to stay healthy. Sammy Watkins getting injured every year, too, man. I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater, he's got to stay healthy.
Right.
Too soon?
I did see that they, I think it was the Lions, picked up Jared Aberdarius.
Yep.
Okay.
So that is correct.
Abby's got another shot.
Give it to him. See what he does with it.
What's up with the Lions and white wide receivers from the Packers?
Oh my God.
Bill Schrader.
Yeah. Schrader.
Jared Aberdarius.
The most white wide receiver name ever, Bill Schrader. Bill Schrader, Boise State. I don't know.
Bill Schrader, I think, went to D3 school, actually.
Yeah, he did.
Jeff Janis, your days are numbered in Green Bay.
Hingle McCringleberry. Penn State. Penitentiary. Unbelievable. Is anybody talking on Facebook out there? Is anybody even watching us? Ever? Madden greater than FIFA, Pat says. Pat also says, who is this mysterious voice? Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. All right. Do we need to talk more about the Lions? Is that it?
I don't think
Is that it?
I mean, there's not much to say.
Let's just
we spent the entire show talking about the Packers, which should happen.
Let's breeze through the rest of this division here. All right, looking at the Minnesota Vikings, I don't know if first off, let me just preface by saying I think the Vikings handled the Teddy Bridgewater scenario very, very well.
Yeah, it was smart.
Would they like to have him back? Yeah, but is he ever going to be the same again? No, he's absolutely not. And you look at RG3, who was a mobile quarterback, and he had a basic knee injury. Teddy Bridgewater basically broke off his leg.
Right.
Teddy Bridgewater will not be the same again, and he might play again, but I don't know if I don't know if he can start ever again.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be for the Vikings.
No, it's scary. So Adrian Peterson option declined. He is now with the Saints. Terrence Newman and
Dayton
Jones, both 1-year contracts here, so investing in their defense. But
Latavius Murray was a pretty big pickup.
They have Latavius Murray, so is that an upgrade from Adrian Peterson?
I don't know. It's not an upgrade.
In the long term, though.
In the long term, it might be. But you also draft Dalvin Cook, so
true.
As far as running backs, I think they'll be fine.
They'll be totally fine. And it is a running back by committee league nowadays. So Sam Bradford and Stefon Diggs, the two players that we should watch here, especially on offense.
Diggs killed the Packers.
First of all, let me just say that picture is the most unimpressive picture of a quarterback I've ever seen in my entire life. It looks like he's just like heaving the ball.
There's no way that guy's an athlete.
No, he doesn't. No, my God, he's got like chicken arms over here. Like I thought Peyton Manning was unathletic. My God. Stefon Diggs, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he has to improve in that category.
A little bit of an issue.
But is that Sam Bradford's fault?
I mean, it's got to be. He had 900 yards.
Baxter's saying yes. Yes.
I mean, he went off on the Packers.
Well, that wasn't
all
that
3
hard
touchdowns.
Well, think about any great wide receiver, though. There's only so much you can have for skill if the ball's not getting to you.
True.
OBJ is
if you're getting double covered, because there's no other receiver that can catch a ball.
Marvin Harrison's a Hall of Fame wide receiver because he had Peyton Manning throwing him the ball.
Right. This is true. Just like who's the player from the Chicago Bulls who will eventually make it into the Hall of Fame someday. Everyone's like, oh, he's one of the greatest of all time, like Peppers or something. I don't know. Pippen? Scottie Pippen?
Scottie Pippen's not a Hall of Famer yet?
I don't know. I don't know who I'm talking about.
Who's this guy?
What are you?
A Bills fan? I don't know what to tell you. There's somebody from the Bulls.
Peppers?
I don't know. Whatever. Who?
Peppers?
Peppers? Pippen? It's not Scottie Pippen. I don't know who it is.
Listen,
Bill I didn't watch basketball in the 90s. I barely watch it now. Give me a break. Sam Bradford and Stefon Diggs. What do you see this team doing? Because I'm not really impressed by anything I'm seeing here.
I mean, they're the only ones that are going to give the Packers a run. I mean, they're a solid team. They're a boring, solid,
very
defensive-led team. I don't think they're going to – they'll be second in the division.
Okay.
But not –
all right.
I kind of like what Kevin said, 10-6.
Yeah.
Because they're going to beat up on the Lions and the Bears, who everyone will beat up on.
Real quick, Andrew on Facebook says, Tanner, I've still got those Don Beebe Topps cards if you're interested. I'm absolutely interested. Of course I want them. I think he has a Jim Kelly one too. But yes, I want those Don Beebe cards. I'm a big Don Beebe fan.
Who isn't a big Don Beebe
fan? I know,
fan?
Right? Just a cool dude.
Packer fans love Don Beebe too.
Bills fans, yeah. See, like we could relate here. We both love Don Beebe. It's great. It's awesome. All right. Okay, let's break down the division here since we're running out of time. We'll give our picks. I'm going to give mine first because I think you're
just going to agree with you.
I'm going to go Packers. Coming up in second, it's going to be close between, I think, the Lions and the Vikings, and then I'm going to put the Bears at the bottom of the division.
I'll agree with that, but I'll go Packers-Vikings for sure.
Packers-Vikings. The 3 teams right there, and the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions, it could really go in any direction.
Well, not the Bears.
I mean, who knows what Mitch Trubisky does? He's throwing balls through tires like quarterbacks do. It's amazing. When was the last time a Bears quarterback threw a football through a tire? Whoa.
That's actually a good question.
It's probably been a while.
Right?
Oh, my God. This has been a weird show. A good show, though.
Yeah.
Maybe we should keep doing morning shows. I don't know. This is unbelievable. Well, I think we agree. Tell us who you would choose, how you would set up your NFC North division. I'm sure it probably lines up somewhat close to mine and James. Luke says, bring back Rob Johnson. Rob Johnson, my God. Jeez. Do you guys know who Rob Johnson is? Exactly.
Are we supposed to?
Moving on. All right. Thank you all for watching. Of course, do we have a division we want to feature next week? We have to do the AFC North now, right? So AFC North next week. Whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you all, of course, for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Be sure to check out our polls, of course, today. Tell us who you would choose, how you would line up your NFC North. Next week, we will talk about the AFC North and continue our weekly breakdown of the NFL off season. So
yep.
It's going to be fun. I'm Tanner Burke at Banner Turk. Not that anybody cares.
James Stewart at J. Stu
Jr. Dang, so close.
Next week.
Next week. I'll try to get every week. A week is a long time to remember such mundane
you write
details.
it on your hand.
I do. J. Stu Jr. All right. Thank you all for commenting. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I will be on with Baxter Colburn here in just a little bit for a halftime. Yes, so I got to rush over and get ready for that. James, it's been a pleasure, as always.
Yes. See you next week.
Yeah, next week. I'll probably see you later today.
Probably.
For the game tonight. So I want to thank Kevin Holden, of course, for coming on. I'm sure we'll have him on in the future as well. It is always a pleasure. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I'm Tanner Burke, and he's James Stewart. This is about a Pick Six. Good night.
Good day.